Question 1 goes, which of the following processes describes the ability of an organism to live in harmony or conformity with its environment? Now, the best answer is C, adaptation. Number 2, what is the name given to the transitional zone that separates different ecosystems? And of course, that would be ecotone. Question 3, which of the following is not a limiting factor in the process of photosynthesis? And that's B, oxygen. Oxygen is not a part of the cycle at all. Number 4, which of the following are components of the hydrosphere? And that is 1 and 3. And that's B. A species with a narrow niche is called a specialist. All right. So guys, specialists, these organisms cannot survive in a wide range of conditions. They need specific conditions to survive. So you don't have a lot of them because, as you know, if temperature or weather change, those organisms would perish. Now, the generalist, like a cockroach, these organisms can live in any condition. All right. Number 6. The community formed by lichens and mosses, which initially inhabits an exposed rock surface, is described as pioneer. All right. So they are the first living organisms on the rock. So that's why they are termed as pioneer species. Number 7. Item 7 refers to the following table. So here I have the sites where you have species diversity. It said based on the data in the table above, which site has greater ecosystem stability? Now guys, the greater the species diversity in number, the greater the stability. All right. So the bigger number is that's what you're looking for. The bigger number would tell the species diversity, the better diversity, right? The bigger diversity. And you know that the greater the biodiversity of an ecosystem, the more stable it is. So the answer is C. All right. All right. Question here says, item 8 refers to the following population curve. Of course, guys, you know that population size is on this axis and time is on this axis. It says, which of the following combinations correctly represent the growth phases in the graph? So the answer here is D, log phase, then the exponential phase, then the stationary phase. So from here to here, guys, PQ would be log. The growth rate hasn't started fully yet. All right, but from Q to R here, as the curves goes vertical, that is referring to the growth. That means the population size is growing. All right, and then it will come to a stable right here, which here guys would be the carrying capacity of the ecosystem. So carrying capacity is normally represented by a straight line. So RS would be carrying capacity or the stationary phase. All right, ST here would mean another growth phase, which would mean maybe there's a overshoot of the carrying capacity. Maybe the environment start producing a lot of food, so the organisms reproduce based on the season, and the original carrying capacity is exceeded. Number 9. Biotic potential is, of course, guys, the answer is B, the ability of our population to increase in size. So when a population grows very fast, you know, that is done by reproduction, right? So when organisms are reproducing a lot and growing a lot, we refer to that as their biotic potential. Now, organisms, when conditions are favorable, they reproduce a lot. All right. The answer is B. Number 10, a certain type of marine worm live in shells occupied by hermit crab. When the crabs feed, the worm comes out to share the meal. This relationship is an example of a commensalism relationship, guys. Now, it is a realistic example, right? It's a common commensalism example. But if you didn't know, by just reading here, you should figure it out, because the worm, it didn't state that the worm benefit the crab in any way. It's just showing you that the worm is the only beneficiary in the relationship. So once there is one beneficiary, that would be a commensalism. If both of them are benefiting from the relationship, that would be mutualism. And if one of them got hurt in the relationship, then that would be a parasitism. But the answer is commensalism, guys. The following best illustrates the process of evolution. All right, the answer is D. A population of mosquitoes develop resistance to pesticides, meaning because they are exposed to the pesticide over a number of years, some of them were dying, but because some of these mosquitoes were exposed to the pesticides, a small amount that couldn't kill them. So eventually, when they reproduce, when they give birth to new offspring, those new babies develop the resistance against those pesticides because they were getting it from their parent in smaller quantities. All right. Number 12 is it. Item 12 refers to the following pyramid of numbers. All right. Right. Good. So here, guys, this would be the producer, right? This would be primary consumer and secondary consumer, and the other one would be tertiary consumer, right? Now it says the percentage of primary consumer in the relationship is, so they're asking you the percentage of the 60 individuals here. So the formula, guys, you would add up, this would be the formula, 60 times 100. You add up all of these now, 140 plus 60 plus 90 plus 25. Alright, so you are dividing the 60 by the total amount of individuals times 100. So say formula would be like that. Alright, so here, so you have 60 times 100 over, you add up total there. 25 plus 90 plus 60 plus 140, that's 315. Alright, so that's the answer, guys. So the answer would be B, 19.05%. So again, the formula would be the 60 over the total individuals times 100. Number 13. Predation can be of benefit to the prey because it, number 1, limits the population growth due to environmental resistance. That would be correct. 2, selectively remove the weak, very old, and very young from the prey population. That's also correct. And number 3, it helps to control the prey population. So the answer is D, all 3 of them. All right, guys, we all know that if a population gets too big in an ecosystem, the ecosystem will be unstable because what happened, it cannot sustain the amount of offspring. So there's going to be a strain on the ecosystem to provide food to maintain the animals. All right, there's going to be like overgrazing, right? Lack of water, lack of resources to take care of those animals. So the environment naturally set up in a way to keep down the population of organisms so that there are enough resources available to maintain life. All right. Number 14. Item 14 refers to the following information. A student sampled the number of organisms in a garden. The results are shown in the table below. All right, so species, and you have abundance here. He said, what is the species diversity of the garden? Of course, guys, you would have to go back to the formula. So the formula would be n bracket n minus 1 bracket divided by the sum of n bracket n minus 1, close the bracket. So all right, so this here, this would be the sum. Now, guys, the exam persons always use the opposite formula. They switch the formula. I don't know why, but they switch it from what we use in the textbook. But since this is the formula we use in the textbook, this way I'm going to use it that way, right? But to get the answer, you have to flip it at the end. I'll show you. So let's go on. So hen, which is a capital N, would be in the abundance. So we'd add up all of these to get the capital N right here. So it should be now 25 plus 10, that's 35, plus 40, that's 75, plus 15, that would be 90. So That would be 90, right? All right, so that part of the formula now, it would be 90 times bracket 90 minus 1, and that would be equal to 90 times 89, guys. So 90 times 89, that would be 8,010 over, now this part of the formula, guys, this part here, you have to use individual amount now, individual species to calculate this part, the sum of this part. So that would be it would be 25 times 24, because you're minus 1, right? Working out this part for each of them. And that would be a plus 10 times 9 plus 40 times 39 plus 15 times 14. That now will equal 10 divided by, add up all of this now, another 600 plus 90 plus 43 times 40 times 90, 3,600 plus, so right here, guys, should have a bracket right here, 15 times 14, so plus 15 times 14 equal to 210. Equal 8010 divided by 4,500. But as we said, guys, they would switch it around. So instead of 8,010 divided by 4,500, they would spin it around. It would be the 4,500 divided by the 8,010, right? So use a calculator to do that. The formula according to the textbook, the formula would give it like this, right? But according to them, how they want it, according to how they use the calculation, they spin the formula. All right, so that would be now. Put that in your. When you reach here, guys, you don't simplify or break down. You just divide the numerator by the denominator. So to get their answer, you divide the 4,500 divided by the 8,010. I get the answer this one. So where am I going wrong then? I guess I'm going wrong. Okay, guys, this is where we went wrong right here. This one. 40 times 39 should be this. It should be right here. This part. This part is where we went wrong. It should be 1,560. Alright, so this part here now would be, yeah, this part would be 600 plus 90 plus 1,560 plus 210. That would be 2,460. Now, after I do the maths, guys, and you calculate here, like I said, they would spin the formula around. So it would be 2,460 divided by the 8010, and that would be 0.31 rounded off to the second decimal place. So that's why we got D, guys. All right, let's move on. All right, item 15 refers to the following results, which were obtained by a student who investigated the density and distribution of species of plants in a grassy field using the 1 meter square quadrant. The mean density of species A in the field is, alright, so the answer is A, guys, 2.6. Now, how you go about getting that is that, you know, the quadrant was shown 10 times. So you have to add up the amount of organism here and then divide it by the 10 shows, because they ask for mean. Mean would mean they find the average, right? So you'd have to add up all of those. So 9 plus 1, that would be 10, plus 3, 13, plus 4, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, that would be 26. So it is 26 divided by 10. And that would leave us now with, so you carry the decimal place 1 point back, and that would leave us to 2.6. All right, number 16. Developed countries have a greater dependency ratio because of 1. Lower birth rates. Yes, guys. They tend to have lower birth rates. Developed countries like US, England, they have low birth rates. They have an aging population because their health system is so good. People are living longer, but those persons are also dependents. And number 2, greater levels of input. No. Number 3 here, greater levels of inputs. No. So the best answer would be 1 and 2. That's A. All right, guys. Number 17. Although flooding of a river is potentially dangerous to human, it is equally beneficial because it B. replenish nutrients level in flood plains. Number 18. The following diagram represents a human population. Right, so this is human population. The equation which represents an unchanged population over a period of time is D. So that would be births plus the immigration equal deaths plus emigration. Now, what you have to understand, guys, is that population, once births equal to death, population size won't increase. So, say for example, in the Caribbean, say, pick any particular Caribbean country, right? Say Trinidad. Say Trinidad has 2 million people presently in 2024 now, right? What happened? Say this year they had 1 million deaths and 1 million children being born. Then next year the population would still remain at 2 million, right? You see that? So if death equals birth, growth rate, population growth would remain the same, which is 0. So it is the same formula here, guys. So the immigration here means persons coming in a country. That's why it starts with an I. Persons leaving a country is E. So if persons coming in equal to those going out, then population would also remain at 0. The growth, the size won't move. All right, so the best answer is D. Number 19, which of the following is true of developed countries? All right, those countries are already developed. The answer would be C. Their women tend to be emancipated. Now, guys, for a country to be considered developed now, the age, the gender-related index has to match. So the more women have been educated and working, the less they will have children. Resources would be conserved in that way. Now, if you have a country that is having a lot of children, they tend to point it and say, okay, it's because the women are not educated, they're not financially independent, and so they tend to have a lot of children, leading to growth in population size and decline in resources. All right, so when the women are independent, they are working, they are educated, the country is more developed and stable and better. That's what they're saying. So the answer would be C. All right, number 20. The population growth rates in developing country is higher than those in developed country because developed countries often have a high fertility rate. Yes, fertility rate means birth. Yes. 2, lower infant mortality. No. And 3, reduced access to family planning. So this would cause population to increase. So 1 and 3. So the best answer is B. All right, number 21. The total annual production of goods and service within an economy is referred to as the, and the answer is B, the gross national product, GNP. Now, there's another term called GDP. Guys, GDP does not include foreign exchange, so it is not the total of the country. All right, so the best answer would be GNP. This one covers foreign exchange as well as local production. All right, now 22 says the increase in total population size between stage 2 and 3 is most likely caused by, okay, there's a diagram. So diagram here says item 22 refers to the following diagram of the demographic transition model. The increase in total population size between stage 2 and 3 is most likely caused by, of course, guys, it would be improvement in healthcare. So what happened? Stage 2 and then stage 3. All right, based on what I'm seeing here, guys, birth rates still remain at a good level. It remain at a good level, while here, death is going down. So DR is death rate. Death rate is going down. Birth rate is still up. All right. So what happened? This it could be is that healthcare, you have less mortality of infants, meaning the hospitals are saving the children at birth. So that could be a result of the increase in birth rate. Yes, the population size. More births, more live births, more the higher the population size. All right. So 22 is A. All right, 23 here, guys. This is a diagram. Item 23 refers to the following diagram. So this is a freshwater aquifer here. Meaning this is underground, guys. So water moves through the rock normally, especially from hills, and come down. So here you have the sea here, and this is water extraction. So this is a water pump where persons would drill a hole down in the soil here, and they would pump water up, right? Now what happened? The seawater here is pointing that the seawater is coming here, and that seawater will eventually be extracted. Now that would be a problem. Versus people don't want salt water to drink, right? But anyways, look at the question. He said the diagram above illustrates the process of, and the answer is B, saltwater intrusion. So the saltwater, the seawater, because the seawater is intruding on the freshwater, it seeps back from the sea and it's going backwards to where they are extracting the water. So the saltwater is intruding on the freshwater. Because the more they draw freshwater, guys, water will come in from the sea. Because less freshwater would be here. And when that is removed by extraction, saltwater will start taking space by backflowing back into these reservoirs, causing an intrusion. All right. Question number 24. Which of the following is not an abiotic factor that affects the distribution of populations? All right, abiotic factor, guys. Animals and plant life, these are biotic. All right, so that is the obvious answer, A. 24. Which of the following is considered to be the major environmental problem because it aggravates all the other environmental problems? And that would be human population growth. So again, in environmental science, guys, when you have populations been growing a lot, that is considered to be a problem. All right, and it is a problem. So the answer is D. 26. Which of the following is the best example of the efficient use of natural resources? And that would be recycling paper. 27. If the annual growth rate of a country X is 2%, then the double time in years for the country X, of course, the answer would be 35 years. So you use the rule of 70 where you divide 70 divided by 2, the growth rate. Now, you wouldn't put the percentage to it, guys. You just divide by the 2. Whichever growth rate you have is divide 70 by the growth rate. Don't put the percentage on it and you'll get the answer. So the answer is A. All right, here it says item 28 to 29 refers to the following population pyramid for Congo and Japan. 28. Which of the following statement of population pyramid is true? The answer would be A. Congo has a higher fertility rate than Japan. All right, guys. If you understand the structure here, so this is the diagram. This is from age 15 to 19. Stops right here. So from here to here would be age 14 to age 1. Now, the broader the base there now, it shows you that they have more births, which is fertility rate. Now, if you look at Japan here, shows that from age 14 down to age 1 is very narrow. So the birth is very small. So there, guys, their fertility rate is very small. Their birth rate, fertility rate is very small, so that would be, and so the best answer would be A. 29. Which of the following may be a disadvantage of Japan having such a population structure? Of course, guys, if they're not having enough birth rate, eventually, as those persons get older, reaching working age, of course, they won't have enough persons to work in their own country. So they would have to what? Start to import foreign workers to keep up with the work in their country. All right. Much like what Canada is doing now, because the place is cold. Many persons are moving from the cooler countries. So what they have to do to get workforce there, they have to be using a lot of immigrants. All right. Item 30 refers to the following graph, which shows population double time for selected country. The following statements based on the graph is correct. Iraq has a double time of 27 years. So you read, this is Iraq. You read it off here, that's about 27. So here on this axis you have the double time, and here you have the country. So you have to read off right here. 31. Which of the following terms refer to the intensive search for compounds of medical value in organisms that were not previously used for such purposes? And that would be bioprospecting. 32. Natural resources is best defined as C. The useful materials and energy that are found in the environment. 33. Which of the following conditions is not a requirement for corals to strive? And that would be D. Soft surfaces. Of course, corals need salt water, sunlight for photosynthesis, and warmth. 34. A country wants to construct a new airport. Before this is done, detailed research is undertaken to assess the likely environmental effect of this project. Which natural resource management tool best describes the approach? Of course, that would be your environmental impact assessment, which is B. So remember, before a project is passed in a country, it goes through this assessment to determine the environmental impacts on the society before it is certified. All right. 35. Which of the following economic instrument describe money obtained for returning a soda bottle? And that would be A, an incentive. So by buying these bottles, persons will try to bring in more bottles because the money, they're nice, they're earning. So paying them to carry in bottles, they will tend to carry more. So it's a motivational strategy, and that would be an incentive. So incentives tend to motivate the individuals to do what you want them to do. All right, 36. Which of the following activities is emphasized in the Ramsar Convention? And that would be A, protecting wetlands. 37. Measures used in the conservation of natural resources, including physical conversion of vegetation and land. 2. The use of appropriate technology. And 3. Sustainable yield management. I know the best answer here, guys, seem not to be D, but 2 and 3 C. It would tend to be C. Physical conversion of the vegetation and land, no. 2. The use of appropriate technology. Yes, guys. What happened here in the Caribbean, for example, we have a lot of sun and we have a lot of water. We shouldn't be using fossil fuels, except for Trinidad. So fossil fuel for like countries like Jamaica that don't have fossil fuel, but they have a lot of sun. Fossil fuel will be an inappropriate technology. All right, so they set up power plants to use that fossil fuel. Those are not appropriate. We provide a lot of sunlight. We have a lot of sunlight and water here in Jamaica, for example. Those are more appropriate to develop. All right, so 2 and 3 would be appropriate. The sustainable yield management, they put specialties used in fisheries, where they would say you have a quota. So fishermen wouldn't catch more than the quota, just to maintain population size and the resources. All right, guys. So the best answer is C. 38. Which of the following is a renewable natural resources? And that would be forest. 39. Which of the following is most likely to occur in a forested region that has recently been cleared by cutting? Of course, that would be you'd have a lot of leaching, guys, a lot of washing away of nutrients. The concentration of nutrients in the stream running through the region will be increased. So the answer is A. 39. The vegetation label 2 is most likely seagrass. 41. Which vegetation type in the wetland ecosystem help in water regulation? And that would be a mangrove. 42. Which of the following contributes to the protection of rare, threatened, and endangered species? And that would be in situ conservation. 43. Which of the following are threatened by the breakdown of calcium carbonate from water containing higher level of dilute carbonic acid? And that would be our coral reefs. 4. One of the roles of the zoo is to conserve endangered species by captive breeding. It is hoped that offsprings from such program will be reintroduced into the wild. This is an example of ex situ conservation. So the difference between ex situ and in situ is that with ex situ conservation, guys, the organisms or the animals that are threatened, they are removed from their natural habitat and kept at a different location from where they originally was found. All right. While with in situ, you don't remove them from their natural habitat. You let them stay in their natural habitat. All right, but you protect them with laws and maybe barriers too. All right, 45 and last, the West Indian manatee is an endangered species. Some fishermen own the manatee and sell it, meant to supplement their income. Which is the best argument to use to convince the fishermen to stop the practice? So the best answer would be C. Fishermen could charge tourists for a guide tour to see manatee. Now that would be a non-consumptive use of resources, which would be an environmentally friendly strategy. All right, guys. So we're now at the end of the paper. Peace.